Guys, if there's one thing we know for sure, it's that Steam, good.
EA, good?
EA, bad.
Sorry, EA, bad.
The most important part of our routine is the entrance.
Yes, absolutely.
What the hell are you doing, man?
I'm the trash man. I come out, I throw trash all over the ring.
Bethesda, good.
Bethesda, bad.
Sorry, yeah, okay, cool.
Epic Games, bad. Valve, good. Okay, so when the news arrives that Valve may be kowtowing to the Chinese market, people don't know what to do. They don't know what to upvote on Reddit. They get confused. They're like, do I upvote this? Or...
It's the sweaty
dude, like, Valve good, China bad, what do I do? It's that thing. That's exactly what the story is today. It seems as though Valve might be dragging its feet on the approval of certain games relating to Hong Kong because they might be trying to protect their interest in China. It's all deeply political, ladies and gentlemen. Deeply political. So,
after the break?
We don't have a break, Sam. We have a
So,
drop.
after the drop.
Drop.
Speaking of that, Yang Gang, everybody. We should play that game, okay? If we're on the old topic
Here we
of
go. Here we
political
go. Getting
games,
political.
let's play the Yang Gang, okay?
Gang.
What's it called? Yang Gang Game or something?
I don't know.
Anyway,
it's
we're
a
gonna
fighting
play
game with Andrew Yang and a big
Final
cool.
boss?
Elon Musk.
Fight!
As we know, obviously, Blizzard has gotten into a lot of trouble over the last few months in relation to its stance on Hong Kong and the way it's tried to silence people who speak in support of it so that they can protect their interests in the Chinese market.
Sounds good to me.
Blizzard are not alone in doing this. Remember when the NBA did this?
Yes, NBA's done
This
this.
is Houston Rockets, I think, one of the managers was like,
Yes.
go Hong Kong, and then the NBA was like, oh man,
Yeah.
just no.
Yeah, LeBron James came out and you know, really was like, hey, it doesn't know all the facts, blah, 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 blah. So kind of like, it was a bit of a murky message, I think, in terms of
LeBron's
LeBron
like,
James.
you didn't really understand how much money I'm getting
Yeah,
paid and how much
yeah,
money
yeah.
Space Jam 2 is going to make in China. So
We gotta
I
do
really
that.
think
We gotta watch that and review that. By
Oh,
the way.
dude, for sure.
100%.
No,
But anyway, look, it's definitely round 2 in terms of the China saga when it comes to video games, everybody. Now today it's with good old Steam. Now there are some political games on Steam. Okay, let's just start there, of course. But this one in particular is, of course, about the Free Hong Kong movement, revolution of our time. And usually it takes 3 to 5 business days, right, for Steam to look at a game and give it, its, classification if it's cool for Steam. This has now been over a month, okay, and they still haven't heard anything on this particular game.
The game is called Liberate Hong Kong, and it does allow you to play as a protester in Hong Kong, on the streets of Hong Kong, wearing a mask, carrying what seems to be a stop sign as a shield. It's not a stop sign, it's a two-way sign. In Australia, that shape and colour is a stop sign, so that would really confuse people here in Australia.
Yeah, I don't know what.
Do I go or not? I'm confused.
He just needs the axe now to be.
He does.
Boy.
So look, you can be on the streets of Hong Kong. There's lots of flashing lights, by the way, so maybe for an epileptic, watch
I was going to
yourself.
say, this is not good for...
Sounds good to me.
Obviously, doesn't look like the highest quality game of all time.
Definitely.
It really does seem to be kind of just making a political point.
Yep, it looks like they're bringing this out purely to be like, let's get a message out there. Let's not win Game of the Year, people.
Well,
Okay.
I don't know. The Jesus game has just come out though,
Gotta do
so
the Jesus game too.
we definitely need to play for the Jesus game. So this game obviously is going to ruffle quite a few feathers, and for that reason, Steam has delayed its approval. They're not really being communicative about why this is the case. A different game called Karma also references Hong Kong, and it's actually going to be donating its proceeds to the sort of one of the Hong Kong related sort of charities.
For the first 6 months, I believe.
The first 6 months, yeah. So that game, it also has been held up in the approval process. They did actually receive a response from Steam, and they said that, because of the controversial nature of the game and the potentially illegal contents of it, that they were taking their time to review
Free
it.
Hong Kong, illegal. Okay?
So,
Illegal.
yeah, it's an interesting situation because it really raises the question of a double standard and whether or not, gamers as a whole are like, oh yeah, this is a different situation versus what's going on with Blizzard.
It's one thing, I think, for Steam to censor it in China, potentially. Look, I don't still agree with them doing that. I think it's another thing entirely for Steam to censor this game and the Free Hong Kong message in a game across the entire globe, and that's what seems to be happening at this moment.
Yeah.
Now I get it that Steam has a lot of money in good old China. It's the land of the Dota, okay?
It is the land of the Dota.
They want to keep that Steam monies. I understand that they are a business, but at the same time, we've seen it before. With Blizzard, it never goes down well when you side with like money over, getting a political message out.
Yeah, I mean, look, the stakes are extremely high. It feels like Valve are actually far more leveraged into China than even Blizzard are, because their biggest game is Dota, and that game is just massive proportion of that is China. They have their internationals in Shanghai from time to time. There's been at least one, I know that for a fact.
Sure.
So they need to make sure they maintain access to that market. I remember one time as well, one of the casters for the international started making sort of subtle digs at Chinese propaganda and dictatorship and stuff, and then Gaben just fucking yeeted this guy straight out, literally
straight the
day after. Oh, that's dark. Nothing happened there, guys. Nothing happened
at all.
So Valve doesn't mess around when it comes to China, and it sort of, is sort of in keeping that they're quite cautious with regards to how they approach this. The other thing as well is that they are looking to actually release Steam officially in China at the moment. It is in partnership with Perfect World. It is a completely separate client. It's going to have only 40 games on launch. It's going to have a different name. It's going to have its own ecosystem, whatever. But it ultimately is like an official version of Steam over in China that will exist there.
Yeah.
And so they don't want to prejudice the chance of that product being successful.
Yeah, I mean, it's a story we're hearing time and time again now in terms of American companies or companies in general wanting to penetrate that market. It is one of, whoa, sorry.
We don't want to get demonetized.
PG. It is one of the biggest markets in the world with one of the biggest populations and a huge emphasis on gaming. So of course, and they are opening the floodgates in terms of just allowing more and more games in there. So if I was a company, I get it. You want to get in there, so it becomes a very tricky situation where you're trying to balance your Western market and also the China market in terms of, staying on the right side of everybody. And if a game comes out like this, of course, it is going to be tricky for Steam. But how they move forward with this will be very indicative of, if they're going to end up in Blizzard territory in the next couple of months, like Blizzard has been now since this whole Blitzchung thing.
I think it does need to be said that this is a slightly different circumstance versus Blitzchung, and that is that with Blitzchung, it was about someone who said something, and they have a right to speech, and then Blizzard punished them for that speech. I think it is a fundamentally different thing to ask a company to sell something on their storefront, because that's essentially them having to do something themselves. Rather than stopping Blitzchung from being able to say what he wants to say, Steam themselves need to be like, yes, we will make this product available, which kind of gives their tacit endorsement to that product, even though Valve have gone to great lengths to say just because we sell a product doesn't mean we endorse it. So there are subtle differences between the two of these things.
Yeah, I hear you.
But at the same time, it's like Steam has made very clear that they do not endorse what they put on their store. That's why there's so much garbage on that storefront. That's why there are tons of political games on there. Go and Google Trump and see how many political games you get, satirizing President Trump or whatever. So, it's sort of,
Yeah, I think it'd be different if there wasn't such a precedent there. There's already so many political games, especially about Trump and all this kind of stuff. You've already set the ground rules, in terms of a lot of people can make games about political things that are happening right now. It's not like, oh, this is 10 years ago. This isn't like a Reagan game from the 80s. I'd
play a Reagan game, by the way.
I would play a Reagan game, okay?
Sure.
Whole thing is tearing down their wall. But I it'd be different if this wasn't such a situation. But look, I get what you're saying. If Walmart was getting forced to sell Confederate flags or something, then I think that I get how Walmart has the right to decide if they want to go down that route, because some people are going to love that and some people are going to hate that. You know what I'm saying? So
but if someone wants to fly a Confederate flag, that's their right. Even if
exactly
a lot of people
right.
disagree with
Don't
it.
get me wrong. Of course, but what I'm saying is it's another thing entirely. Yeah, to push a company to sell something in their store.
For sure.
But it is interesting though. I don't actually know if we're even going to get a response. Are we just going to go forever? It's already been a month now.
Yeah.
Because it's Steam. They have the power at the moment in terms of they haven't given a response yet. They could just continue to never give a response.
For sure. Look, I think ultimately where this needs to land is this should be available on Western storefronts. There's no reason it shouldn't. And if China wants to ban this, go for it. That's their right. It's their sovereign borders. They make their own laws. They do whatever they like. But I don't think that the Western market should be self-censoring in order to appease the Chinese market. I don't think that's right. And so I do hope that these games get released. I do hope that people are allowed to show their support for this.
But guys, we'll have to see, is this going to be Blizzard 2.0? I mean, the laymen want it to be Blizzard 2.0.
I don't think it's going to be. I think the PC game subreddit will ensure that it does not reach Blizzard 2.0.
Who knows?
They are more than happy with this situation.
We'll see. We'll see. But anyway, we're going to do the Yang Gang. Oh, we're doing Game Awards also in a couple of days. We're going to be doing live half an hour before. We're doing the whole thing. We want you there. We'd love to hang out with y'all, okay? That's my southern growl, since we're talking about the Confederate flag.
Alright.
Is that too edgy? I don't know. But anyway, young out!